Greetings to all participants. I welcome you all for the DGSOM Cloud Connect Day 5 organized by School of Management D. Vaishnav College. I welcome the speaker of the day, Mr. Jagan, business consultant and advisor. To begin the session, I request Nisha to introduce the speaker of the day.
Good day to all. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to this webinar series Cloud Connect. I hope this is a nice opportunity for all of us to get insights on the impact of COVID-19 on Indian industry and the way forward. And it's my privilege to introduce our speaker for the session, Mr. Murari S. Jagan. Mr. M.S. Jagan is a management consultant and advisor in the area of infrastructure and real estate to legal and medium funds and corporates in India as well as foreign. He did his BE from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, and PGDM from IIM Ahmedabad. Mr. Jagan actually has selected management schools and curriculum and selection process. Also, he is a management committee member of Madras Management Association. He is wholly the first CEO in India of Ascenders India Private Limited and has set up the Indian company owned by Government of Singapore and ran it for 4 years. Mr. Jagan has set up large IT parks Mahindra Group and has been responsible for implementing a major 1500-acre industrial park project near Chennai, which is now known as Mahindra World City Private Limited. And before the session starts, I would like to make an announcement. I request all the participants to kindly switch off their audio and video till the end. And if you have any questions, please do post it in the chat box so that our speaker can answer it at the end of the session. We welcome you, sir. And now I kindly request a guest speaker to take over the session.
Okay. Thank you for the introduction. Am I audible to all? Can at least I get 2-3 messages saying that I'm audible and then I'll be happy? Someone confirm?
Yes, sir. You're on.
Yeah, you can hear me, you can see me, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Good morning, all of you. Before I start, I must tell you, you've been circulated a different photograph of mine. It was taken when I was a little younger. And I had sent my revised one, then MMA, I think very logically decided to stick with the old one for marketing purposes. I appreciate. But I just want to confirm to you that photograph and this are the same person. And so whatever resume has been mentioned, it is of me before you, though I bear no resemblance to the earlier photograph. So that is out of the way now. I thank you for that resume. I didn't get your name, ma'am, but your resume was nice. I think I'll have to go back and redo my resume on using some of the words you have used. Maybe it sounds better than the way I write it. So I would take it as my learning from this. Thank you so much. I mean, it is very nice of you. Third point. I will not be very serious in this talk because I think, I don't know how many web seminars you people must have attended. I myself have conducted and attended quite a few. I'm up to my neck on web seminars. So I want to handle a little differently, and as we go by, I'll let you know what I want to do. But one thing, I do not know about the mix of you people here. I was told it's a mix of both faculty, senior research scholars, MBA students, and any other students. So I'm not going to address anything specific to any one genre because it says somebody else is presenting and I go on. So I'm not addressing it to any one genre. So I'm going to make it as open as possible so that all of you can participate. As far as faculty is concerned, I, like many others before me, have a fear of faculty. This goes back to my school days, you know, like to sit on the back bench. And so for me to, even though I have been a faculty for the last 6 years, I've been teaching as a guest lecturer in a management school. But even then, my fear of faculty is there simply because they know much more than me on this subject and they can pull me up. So you're most welcome to. So if I make mistakes, please do send a separate message saying, boss, you've gone wrong in your grammar, you've gone wrong on something, whatever it is, I'll accept it. Experts. I am I like to make it right at the beginning a call. I am neither an expert nor an astrologer. So therefore, it is not my opinion on exactly what is going to happen. You see, you would have, in the last 2 months, I'm sure you would have seen or read about a few million articles by experts all over the place. Our country is, we got 600 million experts on every subject under the sun. And as the old joke goes, if you have 5 economics, and with all apologies to economists, if you got 5 economics, you got 9 opinions. I myself have been on panels, and the anchor will come suddenly show the camera at me. Okay, Mr. Jagan, tell me what's your percentage of growth, and I tell him between 5 and 6. He says, no, give me exact figure. Okay, take 5.7. What difference does it make? You also don't know. I also don't. This is how it happens mostly, with all due credit to some of them who are pretty good at what they are doing. So today, I'm not going to give you a percentage. The topic says economic impact on COVID. I am not looking at the word impact in terms of any percentage or turnover or anything like that. I'm looking at the word impact more from the point of view of where do you all think this economy will go? Where do you think the jobs will come? How, therefore, can you train your students, or if some of you are students, what kind of courses and practice, etc., you must be having? This is the background. And I can't keep talking for a long time, because the longer one talks, you know that you tend to get a little put off about the whole thing. So I'm going to break it up and ask for questions. I want a participation. If this was not a webinar meeting, if this was a meeting in real life with people, there would be a lot of questions, because not all of you can agree on everything, and I'm sure you like clarifications. So I am going to pause while I have been told you can send the questions to me. I will see if I can see it in this thing. But my request to Pravin or whoever is coordinating this is also, if they can keep a track of it, and I'm not able to get the questions, they can read out the question and I can answer it. Okay. So with that, let me move on to how I'm going to switch to a PowerPoint. Not so much is because I believe I will show a lot on PowerPoints, but sometimes it's easier. You get a break from seeing my face also. So let me try my hand at a PowerPoint. Oh gosh. Right, I hope this can be seen. Now, India and the future, immediate and later, is what I'm going to talk about. The word immediate, let me go on to the next one. The word immediate is the next 6 or 9 months, which is typically till the end of this financial year, by, let us say, March end. The second part will be specifically related to education. As I said, I am not the expert in education, but I'm going to raise some points which I would like you to ponder over. Agree or disagree, I don't care, but it's something to think about, whether this pandemic is really the reason why certain things in education is likely to change. And the third part is going forward after normalcy, whenever that is achieved. Really, genuinely, whether that is going to be affected by what we are now going through. Sometimes we tend to believe and we tend to say that this has made a complete change in our thinking in life. Now, I want to think whether it really has, or these changes were already there. Maybe now it is just giving it an impetus and a push. Because I don't want to get the feeling that this alone is impacting so many things, though in the short run there will be, but this is not so much in the long run. It's my call, and I'm going to try to put across why we need to look at it. See, understand, next 6 to 9 months is a very different ballgame. I'm sure if you have been reading the papers, particularly the economic papers, they have been talking about employment in May has gone up substantially over April. Employment in June for the last 3-4 days has also gone up. That is by itself not surprising. Factories that were closed down are starting to operate. So if you say employment, meaning they were not working in the month of April, they are now working in the month of May or June. Naturally, once you open up, you will tend to work. But there are other information that's coming out, which I will come to during the presentation. And that is something which we will have to think, is it because of COVID? So coming back, is it the COVID and the economic impact? Though I hate the word COVID right now, so probably I like to say that the current situation sounds better than COVID. Is that a real reason, or are we trying to hide something under this? Are we trying to refuse to believe that it always existed, but we never looked at it, but now we are going to? So moving on, let me take on from here. And any time you want a question, please let me know. I will stop after about 5-7 minutes just to give a pause to my voice, as well as to seek anything from you so that we can keep on track with what you're doing. Immediate future. Yes, this you have seen it 100 times. There is a demand drop because of unsure income. People have maybe lost jobs or have a salary cut, or as startups don't see where the business is coming from. So they will have to protect the money that they already have or just not have enough to spend. So there will be a demand drop. Now, this is a cyclic thing. There is a demand drop, therefore factories will produce less. The factories will produce less, therefore they need fewer people. They need fewer people, therefore they will either cut the salary or lay off people. And then because they lay off people, there is again a demand drop. This is a vicious circle. And this is exactly what the government, with this 20 lakh crores or whatever, is trying to break. It's a chain that you have to break so that you start coming in. How they're trying to break, we will look at that a little later. But this is the problem. Whatever I'm now telling you are the ones that have been created by the current situation. Biggest issues, and I'm sure all of you are aware of it. I don't know if many of you read the article that came. Tamil Nadu government, for example, permitted both the Ambattur and the Gindi industrial estate factories to reopen with maybe 50% staff, but they permitted them to reopen and start business. 3 days later, there was an article by some people there saying, we are ready to start, but we have no components, no materials, and no people. So what can I really start? I have opened my factory, the factory is open, I've cleaned it, I've fumigated it, I've done all that, but to start, my supply chain has been broken. I used to get XYZ materials from different parts of the country or different parts of Tamil Nadu itself, and today those are not coming. So till those guys restart, they start pushing it, I have nothing to make. So this is one of the probably biggest problems. And when you look at other countries like Singapore, when they went in for the lockdown, they very clearly said that anything that is part of the supply chain, it will not be stopped. Now, I don't know whether that's possible in our case, but understand this is and this takes time. To build a supply chain takes time. And the supply chain also involves vehicular movement, it involves traffic, and therefore I expect that this will take time. I'm giving you a logic for it. I don't want to dwell on the emotional aspect of it, but please understand that other than material, which I've covered in the earlier thing, you need people. I don't know in Chennai, I can talk with respect to Chennai, and I'm pretty sure it's quite common in many other places. Many of the activities here, whether you take a simple thing like salons or petrol pump attendants or car parking attendants, too, and in my industry, which has been the real estate and the infrastructure industry, believe me, only 10% of my labor comes from our state. 90% comes from various different states in the north. In fact, if I walk into the site there, I will only hear Hindi spoken, Hindi movies, Hindi TV. If I speak in Tamil, only I will understand. Now, I don't have. So if those of you read today's paper, very interestingly, there are real estate big players here who are willing to pay an airfare. Please read it if you have not read it. They're willing to pay an airfare to get back migrants. Imagine paying an airfare. Normally you pay airfare to get a senior executive to come for the interview. Now we're doing it. This is another immediate problem, and we're not the only state doing it. Telangana started doing it. Andhra has started doing it, getting back those people. Whether they'll come or not, that's a different issue. Money. Working capital requirements. The other thing all this Gindi and Ambattur people said that yes, I'm willing to start. Okay, material is a problem. But the guy who supplies me material now wants 100% advance from me before he ships it. Earlier, he only wanted a 20% advance. Now, 20% I can manage. 100% I am not able to manage. And this is precisely the thing which the government stepped in when they said, this part of this 20 lakh thing. They're trying to make credit flow easier. But this is a problem because when you have broken the money chain, see, we broke the supply chain, then the next point you broke the labor chain, third you've broken the money chain. You've broken all the chains that run the industry. And now the joints have to be welded back. Until it is welded back, there will be ups and downs in this situation. As you're aware, there are some things you can't get out of the shop because he will say it has not come. I tried, believe it or not, changing my keyboard. I went to a very famous Reliance shop here. Only I wanted to change my keyboard. He said, there's only one keyboard left here. Take it or leave it. Don't tell me whether it works or not. Just buy it. If you don't buy it, somebody else will buy it within another 5 minutes. Honestly, this has never been the situation. Really. A keyboard, for heaven's sake. And I found it difficult to get a USB drive. It will change. It will improve. There are plenty of keyboards in the country. It's not reaching the right places. Getting used to a new normal. Now, this word is the most bandied word, most often used in the wrong context. I don't know what this is new normal. Honestly, I have no idea, but everybody uses this phrase. So I am also using it. If you ask me what is new, I have no clue. If they merely mean that instead of working in the office, you'll work at home, that is not a new normal. Or we are going to fly, all of you would have seen that, you're going to fly, you know, everybody stands with a plastic sheet on top and then you walk through. I don't know how long that will last. And that is really not a new normal. You're still going to go in the flight. Maybe you don't get food right now, but it's going to be the same. That's not really a new normal. So I really don't know what this means. Well, we'll talk about it later. And yes, there will be a reduction in travel for some time. People are simply scared to go out. No more reason than that. Not that they don't want to, but they're scared. And then where will they go? Even in Chennai, the shops are closed, restaurants are closed, the mall is closed. What will I do? So there is a reduction in travel. The government is spending. How do I solve? How do I break? My first thing is demand. And the government is spending on infrastructure. Now, the infrastructure is the fastest way to create jobs. But again, we're going to have the same problem. You know, road work, National Highways road work was started in and around Chennai. This was about 2-3 weeks, but beginning of May, somewhere they started. And they also had the same problem. They didn't have half the workers that they need because the workers had left the state to go back home. But there are positives. Hero Cycles, and this is again, I'm quoting from 3 days back paper. Munjal, yes, said, he's taking it as an opportunity. He says, don't take public transport, not good for your health. Use cycles, at least in the rural areas, not so much in the city, but it down. He says, use cycles. They're cheaper, healthy, and he has sent his executives to many places where they can still visit to ask the dealers to order more bikes and send it. They're positive for them. And the retail grocery items, you see, bulk grocery, again, for those of you who are in business, and I'm coming from a business angle, I would rather sell a retail item than a large item because my margins on the smaller packets are usually higher than my margins on the big packets. Now, if people stay at home or travel less and you cook more at home than bulk food outside, the chances are you'll buy smaller packets relative to their large. You will not buy 100 kilograms rice packet. You might buy a 5, 10 or 15. The margins to me are higher, which is why today, most of this MNCs in the business of consumer goods, things like toothpaste and things, they are actually saying we want to restart work, please get us people. So fast moving consumer goods, what we popularly call FMCGs, have seen actually an increase in business in this period of May when everybody else was talking about low business. Interest rates will drop. It is dropping. For those of you who have followed, the RBI governor has reduced what is called the repo rate. For those of you who don't know what the repo rate, don't worry. If the repo rate comes down, your FD rate comes down and your borrowing rate comes down. Never mind what is repo rate. For those who want to know it, please read it up. It is a very interesting concept. What's a problem in the drop in this rate? It's good for borrowers because when you borrow, instead of paying maybe 10% earlier, you might pay 9% or 8.5%. But what happens to retired people or towards a retirement? They were getting an interest of 7.5%. Now they're going to get an interest of 5.5 or 6%, which means basically they have lost almost 20 or 25% of their income. Mind you, if it becomes 2% less on 7%, you work out the maths, it's about 15%. They've lost 15% of their income. It's not good news for them, and they would like to therefore spend less so that they can survive longer. Rates will drop, but will the banks lend more selectively? I don't know the banks lend. I don't know how many of you have gone to banks to borrow from a business angle. I'm not sure many of you would have. But the joke always is, and I always have that, I get requests from every bank who calls me and says, sir, we are willing to give you a 20 lakh loan right now. And I tell him, boss, I don't need a 20 lakh loan from you. They say, no, sir, your credit rating is very good. Naturally, my credit rating is very good. I never borrowed anything. I never repaid anything. Of course, it is very nice. But I don't want money. So I am a guy, they will happily give me 10, 15 lakhs. Now, if I had seriously had a credit problem with that bank and I need that 10 lakhs to get rid of that, the bank will suddenly look into my history and they will say, no, you defaulted on, June last year, then again on September last year, and 3 years back, your wife also defaulted. Sorry, you are a business risk for us. What's the point? So the continuity of business goes, and those who don't want money will probably get more money. Those who really need the money will not. Home loans would be cheaper, but again, more selective. So let's look at the impacts. And I'm not coming to education here. I've deliberately, if you note, I have left education out of this. Tourism probably will take the longest to recover. I mean, if you don't even allow flights or trains, then nobody, even if somebody is brave enough to go somewhere, he cannot go. And whether you'll be brave enough to travel is a different story, because imagine if I take a 1 hour flight to Hyderabad and I had to stay in quarantine for 14 days. That doesn't make any sense to me. And when they opened up the domestic airlines, half the states had their own rules and nobody going to any state knew what the rules were. So it was filled with people only getting back home, and they didn't mind coming back home and staying in the quarantine, because what difference does it make? But somewhere down the line, this has to be first streamlined, and then this business has to pick up. The government is aware of this. They're already moving things on this. In fact, they want to open out internationally. I don't know if you're aware, Europe has all opened out. At least for travel within Europe, all of them are withdrawn the quarantine. Even countries which we said were terrible, like your Spain, all of them are opened out. So whether we will do it or not, I don't know. Again, for those who are in business, perishable commodities. See, we are familiar with perishable commodities like a tomatoes or any vegetable. You don't sell it by today. Flowers, you can't sell it tomorrow. You got to throw it. Your airline and railway seats are exactly the same. If my flight goes empty today, that wasted seat is wasted money. I will never get it back. So the amount of money that the railways was fully government, so it's okay, but the airlines have lost in the last 2 months is huge. Now, whether they can make it up, we don't know, because now you have this middle seat controversy coming up. So how is it going to be? Restaurants. I don't have to tell you, none of you would have eaten out in the last 2.5 months, obviously. Maybe you've bought in certain food from there, so they kept them going. But that's one they're planning to open up. We will have to see how slowly that will come back. But I am fairly sure around my house, there used to be about some 50, 60 restaurants. I'm sure 30 of them will never open again. Which industries will have a most positive? Most negative will be on discretionary expenditure. That means I don't really need it. I don't really need to go to Kulu Manali for a holiday. I would love to, but I don't really need to. And that comes to the lowest of my priorities. Well, I do need my rice and dal and whatever else. See, this discretion varies with the people and the level of income you are. For some, not going to London for a holiday is the biggest problem. For some, not having chapati for the evening is the biggest problem. So it depends on which level you are in. Consumer durables will be back in action for the simple reason that we also reached a stage where most consumer durables, in the fridge and AC and TVs and that kind of thing, are actually becoming necessities. So I think that is going to be the fastest to rebound, and the others will be slower to rebound. I want to, how do I come back now? I'm sorry, I'm trying to get back to stop presenting. Good. Right. I talked for some time now. I would like to take a break before I move to the second part, where it might interest you more because it is on education. And I know the least and you know the most. So I'm going to make you think more of that kind of thing. So are there any questions right now? Because I'm not able to see any questions with me. So whether none of you have sent any or I'm not getting it, I don't know. So can I'm still seeing only the good mornings that have come. So can I get some questions? I am giving you a minute or so. So it would be nice if so far, I'm sure I have not been that clear to you. So I've not answered all your questions. So before I move to the next one, can I have something? My last ones are still good morning. What about the, yes, that is one. I will not be reading out the names of the people because they may or may not like that. So I will just read out the question and the answers, or my opinion on that. The question is, what about the job opportunity in banking sector after COVID? Well, honestly, really speaking, the banking sector has in no way been really affected by this. If your question is, will there be more work at home and less in the office? That's a debatable point. I'd like to touch on that a little later. But in terms of work, there is nothing that has happened. In fact, there's nothing that's happened really that any one particular industry affected, and certainly not the banking sector. In fact, if anything, the workload of the banking sector is actually going to increase. Physical work in the branch, in the thing, that's a different story. And I must tell you one thing. The banks, even before this, Citibank used to keep telling me, please don't come to our bank. Whatever you want, do it on the app. Please come only if it is desperate. And this they've been telling me for the last 3 years. It's only public sector banks which encourage us to come. But otherwise, so my answer to it, I don't think there is going to be any issue on that. This is a good time to invest in properties. Wow. Yeah, yes. I know I have spent over a quarters, 25 years in this business. And I'm still to figure out which is the best time to invest in a property. But I can tell you one thing, if it'll help you. If you're talking of property as in land or even as in apartments, the prices are unlikely to go up. They may be stationary or they may be coming down over the next 2-3 years. And believe me, this again has nothing to do with the pandemic. This problem has been there for the last 3 years. And therefore, many people in this business have scaled down their rates. So if you ask me, if you're purely investing for returns purposes, my advice would be no. But then this business is not one of, it's not that kind of a talk this morning, so I will not go further into it. You're most welcome. My email address is available with all of you, or you can ask for it, you can write, I will always reply to all. What businesses can we start in this situation? If you're starting a new business, I would advise you to wait a little bit. But any business which will go further in the medical field right now, or supply chain link, logistics, which I'll come to later, would definitely be a business that's going to grow. I repeat, supply chain, logistics, medical, and possibly entertainment on the e-sector. These are definite. On the others, we will have to see. When I say medical, you've seen right now so many hand sanitizers, these kind of things. But please, this will also die down. Don't think that today's demand for a sanitizer, everybody wants a sanitizer, every shop. You watch what after things go. People, even today, one of the complaints of the corporation is, we tell you to wear a mask, you guys don't even wear it. Even with all this, people don't do it. You think they will use sanitizers after 6 months? I doubt. So don't take that as a business. Last part, last question, if there is nothing else of what I have here, how will it affect the IT sector? Well, I'll tell you something and I'll come back to it later. It will not affect the IT sector in terms of their output, but it might affect the IT sector in terms of work from. This is one sector where the possibility of working from home will be more used than in any other sector. So in manufacturing, it is relatively less. In banking, maybe a little more. But in the IT maximum, and I'm sure some of you would have read TCS's thing that they want even 60, 70%, and I'll touch on that later. They want it from home in the next 5 years. Now, I don't know if that is possible, but I'm not going too much into this work from home. I'll take it up separately. Many government sectors going to change in private. What will be the economic reaction? Well, we've always been saying government should get out and give the private sector. So if you're asking me from that point of view, yes, it will create more jobs or not, but it will create better jobs. That's my answer to that point. Nothing more on changing of government sector to private, because that's a different subject. Future for women. Wow. Madam, I'm assuming it's a lady. Yeah, it is a lady. Madam, can I tell you one thing? I'm a very, very, very strong component of women running our businesses. In fact, I think many of them can do a much better job than what I have done, or what we men have done, speaking on behalf of them. It's not just supply chain. It's just about anything. You can do as good a job as anybody. But if you are talking about historical, cultural perspective, and therefore you not being able to get it, well, that's not going to change. That's going to remain. So don't link that with this. But if you're asking general, yes. Do you think the travel, tourism, and entertainment industry will face a tedious road ahead? Travel, tourism, yes. Entertainment, I don't know. Now they're opening out the entertainment for shooting and all that, if you're aware. I think the reason for that is I think they were told that the Tamil Nadu public desperately wants their serials to come back. I think the biggest problem is not the pandemic here, but it's the non-availability of the latest serial. They've been rerunning the old series from the last 10 years. And that's irritating people. So if that comes in, your series will be pretty good. I don't have a problem on entertainment because that's the only thing that is. But travel and tourism, yes, it will. What are the changes we would have in gig economy workforce? I had mentioned one. My gut feel is it'll be more. If you mean by gig, if you're talking about who are not going to be in a regular job, then yes. There will be more companies which will say, listen, can you do this job for me? You don't have to join me for that. On a very personal note, I'm one of the earliest gig sector guys. I became a gig way back in 2004. And when I left my company as a CEO, everybody thought that I was a mental case fit for Kilpock. Because at that point of time, nobody used to leave a CEO job in an MNC to go on your own. I did it. And I said, this is the way it'll go forward. I believe, honestly, it'll improve. Not audible, I'm getting the comment is, are you able to hear me? Pravin, can someone say, because I've got a comment saying not audible?
We can hear
Pravin?
you, sir. We can hear you.
Is it okay?
You are audible, sir.
Am I audible? Can Pravin, can you just write and say yes, because it's audible, fine. So maybe there was some temporary problem. +2 completed students, how to collect. This I'll come later when we do it. Okay, moving on. I now want to get on to the next sector on education because many of you are from there. So let me go back to my presentation. I'll just round up this. I think we mentioned all E-based activities, pay and use play entertainment. Netflix got a huge subscription this period. So somebody's asked a question on entertainment industry. Here is your answer. Home delivery services, huge business. Your Dunzos and Swiggies and Zomatos and all that. Medical, I've already explained the medical concept where some of them will be there. Important learnings. I will just come back to this when there may be some typo errors here. Please don't take it seriously. I'm not a great typo guy. It will come back. I want to come back to these learnings a little later. Let's get on to education related. And here is, I'm going to throw some thoughts at you, give you my opinion and feedback, and then I'm going to open it out for questions. So first, main question, and this, a lot of people in various WhatsApp group I'm asking, Will students take more to e-education, or would they prefer campus and face-to-face learning? This will remain on the screen so you can read it a little slowly once again. Will they take to e-education, or would they still prefer, first choice is campus. And campus basically means face-to-face learning. I like to see my professor. I'd like to see my friends. I'd like to ask questions, be heard and answered. First question. I don't know, put this later. Just anything taught on e, at least I don't know because I'm not that aware. How can engineering and medicine be taught on e? I mean, I thought in a medicine you have to see the patient, right? You've got to be taught with some charts and all that, and then you got to actually go to the lab, cut open a patient's stomach, and then figure out what's inside. I'm still the old school, so I think nowadays they don't do that. And engineering, I'm an engineer, and I cannot imagine learning engineering, or for that matter, even any science, physics, chemistry, whatever, not going to a lab. But you cannot sit here and tell me exactly how the test tube will behave if I put the acid into it. You got to learn and experience for yourself. So I don't know if that is possible. So if not, then how? And this is where I want to tickle all of you, maybe irritate all of you, or make you think. Is it really new, this e-learning? We used to call it distance learning, right? Distance learning. What was distance learning? You write a letter, and Indira Gandhi National Open University, for those who are aware, was one of the biggest in this. We used the postal service. A friendly neighborhood fellow will bring a huge, one day he will lift a heavy box and come and give it to you. Of course, you have to give him something. And it has all your books. You got to read all those books, and then you got to fill up those examples, whatever, send it back. They will correct it. And it used to go on like that. No face-to-face. I don't even know where I'm sending it to Delhi, but where they are sending it further also, I don't know. It was always there. Only now, the postman is not required. I can do it on a laptop or mobile or whatever it is. So is this really new? Just because we had see, this is where I'm coming. Let's not link everything to this virus fellow. The virus fellow hasn't taught you anything. He just made you scared and made you go under the bed for 2-3 months. Other than that, honestly, I don't think he's taught you anything. You had distance learning. Why was this not popular? You need to think. Maybe you can still say some courses. Would students prefer to take a break if they believe that there would be more e-learning this year and less of campus? If I'm going to join a college, but that's going to be only through E, then would I say, no, I don't want your admission. I will try admission next year when your campus is reopened? Would people do that? Or will they say, it doesn't matter, I need to finish my education, EO, FO, GO, whatever it is, I am joining on? Will the same logic apply if a student gets selected to an IIT, or I will also say, no, I don't want your admission. I will try again next year? I don't know. Some of you are students, and after, when I open it out for questions, I would like you guys to answer this, and I would like your professors also to come back on this. My personal feeling is students will like campus, and E is not a chosen alternative in most cases. But because that virus fellow scared you, are students and their parents going to say, I would prefer a college as close to home as possible? If I am in Ambattur, I want a college in Ambattur. If I'm in Sholinganallur, I want a college in Sholinganallur. I know much better colleges are in Nungambakam High Road or Punamalli High Road, but I don't want to go there. You think that will happen? I want to do engineering to the closest engineering college to my thing. I might get an IIT, I might get an NIT. No, I'm not going to Trichy to do all that. Is that what's going to happen? In other words, for a temporary problem, are they going to sacrifice their future, or do you believe that they will still apply to the best colleges, yours, and say, no, I want to study there. If I don't get A, I'll try for B, I'll try for C, but I have a priority, and that's what I want, not because it's close to my house. I don't know. So we've gone through that. I can come back to this. Let me move on to the next one. At the end of the day, students come, of course, for having fun. For so many things, they come to the campus, but learning is one of the things. I mean, let's give them their credit here. I also did a lot of things in college I can't talk about right now, but I also learned. Will e-learning have the same impact as a campus? And more important, will the employers also look at them the same way? Maybe barring some top colleges or institutes, but will the employers look at it? You see, the thing is like this. When there is a good Pakka campus and there is an e-learning, so far, the preference of the employers has always been towards somebody who's learned in the campus. Because their argument is you learn more inside the campus. I'm more sure you've learned inside the campus and not so sure you learned it on e. Or there are other experiences of the campus which you would not have undergone. Of course, how the examination will be held, I still don't have an answer, but I'll come to that later. So far, all this distance learning, I'm sure all of you are MOOCs and all those Coursera and all that, where hundreds of courses have been offered. And almost every institute offers e-courses. Why go that far? And they've been offered, best of my knowledge, the last 5 years, because I myself tried to do one about 5 years back. So it must be much older than that. So it's always been there. But for a full-time course, regular course, these are all small certificate courses, 2 months, 3 months, and then I get a certificate. Hey, this guy is very good at making apple juice or something like that. Well, that's okay. But those are not really what I needed for my career. But fine, yeah, I can make a good apple juice and I will leave it at that. But if I'm serious about a course, I want to do an economics or a commerce online, it was because, or usually this will be for an MBA kind of thing, or specialization in some areas of management. It's been for people who work and study. They cannot leave their job because they need the income, but they need the higher education. So for them, e-learning made sense because they can keep their job, maybe take off a week or so every 3 months to go to attend a physical class and then come back and all that. Well, that was possible. Will that change? Will everybody want to do it on e? The issue is not if campuses do not open. The issue is whether even if campuses open, will students prefer e? This is what I'm asking the earlier bullet. If not, then is e-learning really an alternative for good students? Even if it is cheaper, it is said that the e-learning will be cheaper. Yes, it will be cheaper, no doubt, possible. But so what? My whole future for the next, and taking an average student's age is maybe what, anywhere between 18 and 22, depending on what course they're doing, post-graduation or otherwise. And they're going to work till they're 58 or 60. We're looking at another 35 years of earning, 35 years of running the family, running businesses. Are they going to give up all that because something's a little cheaper right now? I don't know. Of course, there are other issues of how you will conduct an exam. I'm a director in a company just by the side, and they have told me that my exam has to be taken. And this was before, nothing to do with this thing. I'm saying everything is not put for this much earlier than this. I was told that I have to pass an exam to continue to be a director. In that examination will be an e-examination. That part was fine. I thought, very good here. I'll open my other slide, my other computer, which I have, all answers will be there, and I will, look at the question, look at the answer, and which is what all of us will think, right? I mean, some of us, me included. But then they gave me conditions saying that you will have a camera, it will be focused on you. If you move your head this way, that way, you'll have the police standing outside your thing ready to arrest you, kind of story. It was really so scary it was. I decided maybe not so good idea to be a director. But more seriously, how are you going to conduct examinations? I don't know of the methodology as yet. So will you still call them for a physical place to write the exams? That exam alone will be done at one place, like you have your GMAT, for example. GMAT, they are saying you can take it online, but I don't know how they make sure that, you don't look into it. I don't know how it is. Before I open out for questions, I just want to say the important learnings here before I open up, because then afterwards I want to go on to something else. What are the things we can do without, and do we need to restart? You see, one of the things that maybe this fellow has taught, when I say this fellow, I'm talking about that small one with spikes on his head, taught us is to figure out what you really need. And if you look at the fourth bullet, somebody was asking on gig, will the new business source opportunities open out? Will there be even more dependency on outsourcing? My honest answer is yes, there will be. But it's not because the employers want, possibly the employees themselves might believe that a gig is better than taking up a job. Moving on, I have to get out of this. I'm sure you've read this, but you can ask me any questions you want. So I'm coming out and oops. Stop presenting. Good. I'm going to take a break here right now before I move on to the last section where we are talking about the future. And this one is your question type of situation. You are the experts here. So I'm waiting to, scared as I am of faculty, but yes. While you're writing the question, I see another question earlier that I've missed, that auto industry is going to face a massive loss. Yes, supply chain. Anybody, it's not just auto industry. Any manufacturing unit is going to have a loss because of supply chain. I've covered supply chain in great detail. Supply chain is broken up into parts, into people, into money. And it's like, you know, all those pipes have been broken. So all those pipes will have to be re-welded back before the business starts. But yes, that will take time, and that is a problem. University syllabus is satisfying the corporate company's needs. Okay, let me put it this way. You know, basically in education, there are two types. One is a very, very basic education, which is your usual, you know, the graduations, the BScs, which I did. Those are not normally oriented very specifically towards a corporate company. They are oriented towards, it's like when you teach ABCD to a kindergarten student, you're not equipping him for a corporate life. You're equipping that child to start. Once you know the alphabet, you can then read the words. Once you need the words, you know, it goes on like that. In 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 2, whatever it is. Many of the basic graduation courses, to some extent, even including engineering, is basically that. It is only equipping you. You have to learn from the corporate. I used to be on the panel where, you know, these corporate people used to come and say, you are not making them ready for the job. But those reasons were different. Because many students believe that the first 6 months of a job in TCS, for example, is an extension of college. They can have fun, they can roam around, they can enjoy. And the companies used to get very upset because they said, you've not taught them the discipline. But that's different. Now, are they satisfying corporate companies' needs? But in the MBA curriculum, for those of you who are from doing MBA or from the MBA branch, the focus, the attempt is a little more to continuously upgrade the syllabus based on what the industry wants. There is an attempt by the better institutes. There is a constant attempt. In fact, I teach, I don't know this year, but so far I have teaching entrepreneurship. And in the entrepreneurship course, every year I modify it to figure out what has happened in the last 6 months. Even then I get obsolete. But at least sorry, somebody is saying something I'm not able to make out. Whoever is saying it can, if they can send it, I'll be able to read it. What's your personal opinion on e-learning, sir? Which one do you think is better for management students, campus or e-learning? You ask me an honest answer, it's campus. See, particularly management students, at least 1 year you have to be on campus. Maybe second year you can do your projects and go out. The thing is, for management students, learning from a book, textbook, and teaching is only one part of their learning. Their ability comes from being able to handle situations and projects and work with the others, get work done by others. But that's what you do in management. And that's what you learn there, including the summer internship. The summer internship is very, very critical for a management student, not so critical for an engineering student. So if you ask me, I am from the old school. I did it in campus, and I know what I learned in campus. My daughter is doing it in campus. Definitely a campus is a better alternative. But e-learning will help you to upgrade that, to polish it. I've done e-learnings on some specific things as the industry goes. Remember, I passed out many years back, and I need to learn something. Then I go in for an e-learning. Companies should develop a lean structure to build their financial muscle. Yeah, but can I have some questions on education? This is DG Vaishnav and I are holding it, and I'm sure there are a lot of faculty. I deliberately try to induce you into thinking on this. So I will answer this pending that. Do you think companies should develop a lean structure to build their financial muscle, reevaluate all the strategies to stir through uncertain business environment? Certainly. But let me tell you one thing. Again, I find it very surprising that the small fellow with spikes is the fellow teaching you how to have a lean muscle. You mean to say these companies which have been in existing for the last 40, 50 years, or at least even for 10, 15 years, do not know that you have to be financially prudent, you got to run your business properly? You mean they don't know they needed this fellow with the spike to teach them? I don't believe that. So whether this was there or not, you need to know how to run it and keep yourself thing. So again, I'm trying to point out that this is not caused by the current thing. It is always there. The answer to your question is obvious. What type of internship should a management student take up? And specifically final year project. I don't know about final year project because many people don't have, but an internship comes usually, if you're a 2-year course, it comes between the first and the second year. Now, again, my main subject on education was on E and other things. I'm still waiting something on that. But having asked, I think the management student must take up an internship in the area he or she wants to build a career later on. Remember, for a management student, if it's a 1-year course and you're doing your internship after that, you already finished learning. If it's a 2-year course and you're doing it in between, you've just got another 6 to 8 months of teaching left. If you still do not know what you're interested in, then there is a problem. So my suggestion is use this internship if you're interested in a particular area, HR, finance, or even in finance, in HR something. See if you can do an internship in that. It may not always be possible, not all companies help you, but if you can, you will then know whether this is what you want to do. This is like a hands-on learning to you to tell you, yes, I want to do this, or no, I don't want to do this. So there is no specific area, any area of your choice, but something that you want to do. The problem that comes is in many institutes, you sometimes take what's given. You don't have a choice. Like say, if Hindustan Lever gives you a summer internship, Hindustan Lever will tell you what they want to do, not what you want to do. So sometimes you don't have a choice. If you have a choice, this is my suggestion to you. Okay, I don't have any other question right now. So I give you another 30 seconds. If I don't see a question, I'm moving on to the last part, which is of my presentation, which is nothing to do with the current small fellow. But this is what, in my opinion, is going to happen in the future, regardless of the small fellow or otherwise. So you got 15 seconds left. If nothing comes in, I'm moving in. But again, after that, I will open it out. So if you missed out the question right now, you can always come back and ask for it again. 5, 4, 3, 2. Wow, somebody made it in the nick of time. Will we return to offices or will it be WFH after? Because an internet connection is all we need. And investing on infrastructure can be made virtual and a thought process of companies. Well, I don't know. The few people who talk to me, they're sick of work from home for various reasons. I don't want to get into some are humorous, some are not. But then even the humorous thing here might not go too well. I mean, you're halfway through and the maid servant suddenly walks through is not the best of the time that you're serious with your other people. So there are issues. But that's not the point. That's the trivial part. Again, I come back. Working from home means you're not in touch with people. If you remember, all of you, Yahoo tried it. And after some time, Yahoo went back on that. And they asked people to come back to office. So I don't know in their experience whether the work from home really, see, today it is exciting. Today it is something new. So today everybody is talking about it. Whether it is really a solution, I'm not very sure. The TCS has said 50 to 75% will work from home. Will they know best? So I don't know. Internet connection is not an issue. That will definitely come. Internet connection today is much better than what it was 2 years back, and it will going to improve substantially. Though one problem you must remember, that there will be some people of the society who will not be able to afford an internet connection or a good one. They have to be helped. So, but assuming the government will help them a little bit. How do you take transportation industries in COVID, especially private? Let's hold that later. Transportation, those are very specific ones. So I will move on to the next presentation part. All right. Now I want you to think a little bit. I'm going to put my cases in a very funny way, in a very different way. Funny is the wrong word, makes me sound like a clown or something, but a very different way. So let's start. Auto industry was down even in January. And if you will notice from now on, I am not talking of the little fellow with the spike on his head. Okay. I'm talking about the reality in this country as it existed in January, or even before for that matter. Auto industry down even in January. Why? If you remember, our finance minister used the word millennials. I have removed the word millennials and using the word youngsters. My definition of youngsters, 22 to 35. You don't like it, you can change it, but that's what it is. They're not buying cars. Why? Well, it's cheaper to hire Uber, Ola, or whatever it is. There's no headache of maintaining it. There's no headache of insurance payment, parking. In fact, I always say I don't need a driver. I need a parker. I can drive. I have no problems. But I can't park. And half the time, believe it or not, I've driven around, come back home, parked my car again, took an auto and gone to the client's office where I need to go. So silly it has become. So if I can't buy a car, if I can't use a car, why will I buy a car? Next. Real estate down even in January. In fact, much earlier than January 2020, like 2015, 16, 18, 19. If you go back in the papers, it's down. Again, the same youngsters. They don't want to buy apartments. Why? Way cheaper and easier to rent them. Helps in mobility. How do I know? Today, I'm working in Siruseri. Tomorrow I may be working in Ambattur. Day after tomorrow I may be working in Hebbal. If I buy a house, what do? Lock it up, find a tenant, maintain it, pay taxes. Very simple. Here, furnished house, I pay extra. Yes, I agree. But it removes a lot of headache. I don't want to own it. So what is going to come? There's a different business model that's going to come here. We'll talk about the business model if we have the time, but that doesn't mean people will stop building houses. People have to live. And no longer youngsters want to live with their children. So right now, of course, during this period, everybody has come back to live with their parents. But at the end of the day, they have to live separately. And therefore, the numbers will be required. Next. Believe it or not, TV manufacturing, TV industry was complaining that their offtake is very low. And I'm sure this, all of you will agree. Well, the youngsters I deal with, talk to them, they also tell me, we don't want a TV. What will you do with a TV? I said, what do you mean, what do you do with the TV? We all grew up with the TV. Yeah? The TV first came to our house. We had a celebration outside. We gave samosas to everybody and everybody was given chairs and they all sat and watched. Those of you are aware, there was a thing called Chitrahar on Friday evening, which was Tamil film music. And at that time, God help you, if anybody else came for anything, you'll throw him out of the house. That was the kind of situation we were. Today, what's a TV? They can watch better things through Prime, Netflix on the smartphone. And times they desire, not when the channel, please forget my typo, it is channel, decides to air them. Your Tata Sky will air that channel only between 8 and 8:30, that serial. I don't want to watch it at 8 and 8:30. I want to watch it at 12 o'clock after I finish all my work. I want to relax. I want to watch it at that time. TV is of no use. I got my tab, I got my this thing. Meaning of prime time itself is very different. So long we think prime time is between 7:30 and 10 o'clock. But many youngsters, the prime time starts only at 10 o'clock. I'm sure the youngsters here, some of them will agree with me. I would appreciate it. One of you at least write and say, yeah, my prime time also starts later. Remember, this is an interlinked world. Okay, you've seen that. Virus in one place comes here, but that's not the interlinking I'm talking about. Everything is interlinked. You cannot be isolated from anything that's happening in the world. One example we have seen, but this is very good. And because of this, there will be plenty of other changes that will come. Quickly, I want to tell you one thing. Changes is the only thing that is constant. You're aware. I don't know how many are aware, those who are familiar with something called the Sensex. Sensex has 30 scripts. It was started in 1988, and it's a measure or a barometer of what happens in the economic climate, in particularly in the stock market, but the economic climate. Out of 30, only 6 are there. 24 have disappeared in these 30 years. 24 have disappeared. Some new 24 are coming. That's a different story. So where are these companies? Most of them have gone, disappeared, become sick, closed down. I mean, you see what happened to Kingfisher. You can list down the closed companies very easily. But it's not companies alone that closed down. Products. Many of the youngsters here don't know what a VCR or a pager or a CD is. CD, at least they might know. A VCR and a pager, if I tell them that we used to have a pager, number used to come, they start laughing, tell us, okay, forget it, let's move on. And how long do you think a laptop is going to survive? How long do you think a mobile phone is going to survive? I don't ask me if mobile phone is not there, what will come. I have no clue. If I had a clue, I would be an astrologer. I don't know. But then when I was watching the VCR, and I remember I had to, bribe somebody to get a VCR because VCRs was short supply and fellow took extra money from me. He told me, come in the night, 9:30 to my shop. I will open only the back door. You come and take a VCR. That's how I bought a VCR. And people laugh at that now. Mobile phones, I don't know. So what are the modern technologies? How many of us even are aware of these things and use it like blockchains? What does it really mean? It will soon become a common word. Like what today we say, hey, what is Xerox? We don't mean Xerox as in the brand name. We mean a photocopier. But who uses the word photocopier? Or you say fridge. Fridge was an official brand name. Similarly, a blockchain will become a kind of a common noun. Of course, all of you are aware of artificial intelligence, Internet of Things. Now, this will change some of the ways we operate. Will it lead to lesser jobs? Let me tell you one thing on jobs, and I want to make this very clear. In 1991, those of you who are old enough will understand the relevance of that here. Those who are not, it doesn't matter. That was a time our country was almost broke. We would have disappeared from the world that time, but things changed. And that time we computerized the banks. And the number of people who said the minute you computerize the bank, millions will lose their job. There will be riots on the street, blood will flow, people will die in thousands, etc., etc., etc. Sensibly, the government went ahead with the computerization of the bank. I did not see people dying on the street. I did not see blood flowing down. In fact, the productivity has gone up. The jobs actually went up. People became more prosperous. And today, and I'm sure any of you working at the bank, if that server is down for 10 seconds, we all get so upset and ring up the bank and say, what the hell, I'm not able to get internet work done. For the last 15 minutes, I have been trying, your server is down. What kind of a bank are you running? This was what we said, blood will flow on the streets. So what businesses will grow? Well, this is my hit list, wish list, if you like to call it. I'm not giving you a guarantee that this is what is going to, but I'll give you some reasons behind some of them. Agriculture, of course, you got to eat. But the way agricultural will grow, and those of you who have asked me, what businesses to start or get into, I'm telling that. You forget this little fellow with spikes, please. Yeah, finish that, I'm on to something else. Agriculture, but not the way we were. Agriculture hitherto from the 50s was meant somebody will grow rice, somebody will grow wheat, or vegetables, and that's it. No, we will go to higher order processing, processed food, which means value addition. Value addition brings more money down the line, which creates its own demand. Remember the same vicious circle I told you? The negative vicious circle is everything goes down. The positive vicious circle is I give you more money, you buy more things, more demand, more jobs. This is the positive vicious circle. Both are, well, not vicious circle, positive circle. And that's what agriculture is going to drive. Health and communication. I have clubbed them together because in my opinion, the future of health management will be through a lot of communication. I am told, and I've seen some of the English serials, if you see, you will find that, we had to go to the lab to get our ultrasound done. Now, ultrasound can be done with a small instrument. The fellow comes, you yourself keep it on whichever part of the body you want to, your elbow or your knee or whatever you want, scan it. And then it'll ask you, where do you want me to send it to? You send it to your doctor. Your doctor takes a look at it. If you have to rechange it, he says, push it to the right, push it to the left. And he tells you what's wrong with you. Now, I know, like science fiction, right? But today, if any of you have seen the first photographs of the first flight that took off after the 25th, it looked like science fiction. If any of you on Twitter, Anand Mahendra actually said that if somebody had told me this is a science fiction movie, I would have believed it. I didn't know this was from an Indigo aircraft in Bombay. Tourism, no, surprisingly, I have said it will grow. Yes, I told you there will be a problem for some time, but it is still going to be the biggest growth industry. Infrastructure. Even before all this, they were planning to spend, each of this I will go into a little bit, so you don't have to worry about it. 100 lakh crores, but forget it, beyond a point, up to 1 crore is 7 zeros. Beyond that, I can't count the zeros. So it doesn't matter. That is whatever Madam Finance Minister said, it went straight over my head and I gave up after some time. But that's going to be the biggest, because in India, we are still short of infrastructure. We still need airports, we still need roads, we need so many things here. And that's the reason we will continue to grow. education. Again, for those who said education, I don't know if any of you, though interested in education, have seen, I think it was yesterday or day before in the papers, or maybe today, Baiju and Vedantu have said that they actually are going to recruit more people, either gig or otherwise. That's not very clear, but they need a lot more people. And mind you, that the salaries which they have given there are pretty interesting. Salaries or commissions are pretty interesting. It goes up to 10, 15 lakhs per year and stuff like that. And from a low of 1 lakh per year. So, you sit at home and earn that, good luck to you. Entertainment, retail, finance and banking. Let me skip into something. I told you in agriculture, automation, nutrition will become the order of the day. How many of are you aware that near Salem there is a company which processes egg powder and imports? They've been doing it for the last 5 years. Egg powder import. All we know is you take a big egg, break it, and make an omelette. But here is, and that's the lowest value addition, because then you'll pay 4 rupees for the egg. When you buy the egg powder, its equivalent will be double that, but saves you a lot of time. I am not getting into the health because I'm a little tired of this, but take the last line. Own scan at home and send it to the doctor. Anything, this can be a blood test. People are already doing it for BP and for diabetes, sugar and all that. Now you will do it for anything. They haven't done it for the little fellow yet, but anything can be done. Communications. I've got another, I think, 10 minutes, and the time is at 12:30, and for questions. But there's one slide at the end which I want you to read, please, because that's the most important thing of what all I'm trying to say. And I'm going to stop with that, but till I come to that. Faxes. I don't know how many know there's something called a fax. See, I don't know the age of my audience, but if assuming I would put my audience in below 35 and above 35, the below 35, most of these products I'm talking about, they probably have neither seen it nor used it, they might have seen it, but not really used it. I have not used a fax for the last 20 years. And I've been in business at high levels in that period. Landlines. I think they'll be obsolete, so still they are useful because of mobile signal, whatever. Data. Have any of you compared what is the data that you're getting, data speed that you're getting today compared to what it was even just 2 years back? Today, those of you who are on Wi-Fi like an ACT or maybe Hathway, the speeds they mention a higher speed, but you get at least 40, 50, 60 Mbps. BSNL still talks about 10 and 11, but that's okay. Earlier, any speed more than 2 Mbps was supposed to be extremely high speed. You can imagine how much we've grown in just 2-3 years. I'm not talking over the last 20 years. And that will spurn a lot of industries like entertainment and health. I've already said tourism. Yes, it's the most hit, but it will come back over a period of time. After we solve all this, you either solve this fellow, or you get a cure to him, or you get a vaccine to him, or you simply get tired about it. I don't know which one is going to happen first, but then the tourism will start. Education, I've gone into a great, I'm not getting into it any further, but there's one curious thing. Read the second sentence, we can see it. Total fertility rate is dropping very drastically in this country, particularly in the southern states. What does this mean? We have now dropped below replenishment level, which means our population should actually start falling after maybe 15, 20 years. Well, forget growth falling, your actual population will start falling. Which means the reverse, lesser schools required, and therefore lesser colleges required. That problem will come, maybe many of us might not happen in our lifetime or towards the end of our lifetime. I mean, even those who are 35, it might happen when you're 60 or something like that. But this is something that's going to happen. But till then, it'll go. Entertainment. I don't know, theaters, my personal opinion is theaters might cease, and content streaming. All of you, I don't have to tell you on content streaming, but the content streaming will probably create more jobs than will be lost by the closing of theaters. See, this is where I'm coming from. In technology, technology makes you lose certain jobs, but technology spawns off other jobs which did not even exist when this technology came in. Okay, I'm nearing the end. I'm going to stop here because I'm really not talking about the future in that sense. All I'm trying to tell you is this has nothing to do with the little fellow with the spike. this will anyway happen. Will it start happening after 6 months or 8 months? If you're looking for the next 5 years as to what you should study, what you should do, please think about this. I've not gone into too many details here because it's just a presentation. Now, I deliberately put it in Tamil for those who can read Tamil, but doesn't matter. All these experts come here, like I told you, sit on the table, camera shines on you. I'm given a chance. I'm the only guy talking for the last 1.5 hours. I can say anything you like, you can't protest. Maximum you can walk out. So will it really happen? Right. In that, I want to take you to the last slide of my presentation here. Or last 2 slides. Just go back 5-7 years. Did you even know what was Netflix, Sun Next, and Amazon Prime? Did you ever believe, you would even think that you can sit without a Tata Sky dish and just press some buttons and you can watch any movie anywhere in the world? No way. Paytm and Beam or the UPI transfers 5 years back, 7 years back, did not exist. Flipkart, oh my God. I have not added a thing. Flipkart, oh my God. How many can exist? Actually, the younger ones can exist without Flipkart. I don't know. Instagram, I'm not a member of Instagram, but WhatsApp, it's about 4 years old. So if I take 7 years back in 2013, WhatsApp, that was the kind of answer you would have got. So again, Zomato, moving on. Drone photo, what? Incidentally, on the drone, people are talking about new businesses. Again, if you read the papers today or yesterday, I think it's today, Swiggy, Zomato, and a couple of, I think 10 other people have been given permission to try out drones beyond the line of sight, which means roughly they can sit at Ambattur and drive the drone in T Nagar or even Adayar for that matter. There are some limitations. I'm just giving an example. The idea is to see whether future deliveries will take place through drones and not physical people. Now, you can argue that might throw the Dunzo fellow out of a job. No. But he might have a different job in monitoring drones. We do not know. When technology moves, drones might do bigger things which get a higher level jobs than the one is doing right now on a motorbike, wearing a mask and a helmet and delivering your chapati. Geo, okay, Geo is a subject by itself. But even a GPS and a Google Maps, today who sends addresses? You send a link, you want somebody to come to your house, you send a link, and then I am told, just don't worry. Just follow what that lady tells you on the phone. I don't know why you don't have Indian ladies. They're all these foreign ladies. But never mind. The lady will say, after 100 meters, please take a left turn. And you quietly, without asking anybody, you implicitly follow this American lady and take the turnings that she advises. And surprise of surprise, you actually reach where you want to go. It will say, your destination is on your right. And you look right and your destination is there. Earlier, one big map you'll have to carry, and then every 10 minutes I will stop. In the world, first right, second right. And how many questions we used to ask? Changing. Last slide now. There are people who said this. And those who know Hindi, I've also put in one line. Logo ne aisa bhi kaha hai. The hai is missing because I didn't get it on the web. I think there's a world market for maybe 5 computers only. This is a very, very famous one. All of you must have heard it. This was said by none other than the president of IBM in 1943. He said the world cannot have more than 5 computers. Not possible. He said it. I don't want to tell you whether it's right or wrong. This is brilliant. In 1982, and that was a time when Maruti Suzuki started its operations in India and Delhi, some of the very senior people in the business of automobiles said, for the next 25 years, which means till 2017, we cannot sell more than 40,000 cars per year. There will be no demand. And therefore, the Maruti Suzuki will close down in the next 5 years because nobody will buy their cars. These are actual statements. If you go back to 90, if you're able to get your e-papers of those years, you'll find this. The current sales, forget the little fellow with the spike, is about 3 million. And likely to increase, even though I've said youngsters don't buy. If youngsters don't buy, somebody else will buy, but there is a demand. But people said this. Intelligent, this is what I mean by intelligent astrologers, not astrologers, experts. 1919, I was part of this criminal gang. TV will not need more than 2 or 3 channels. Those days, there was Doordarshan 1, there was Doordarshan 2, and the third one was a VCR if you had. That's all 3. So we said 3 maximum. What will you do with more channels? It's useless. So don't spend money on a company that's giving you extra channels. Please buy my channel. I'm giving you only 3 and I'm cheaper. 1990. Within just 2 years, the satellite TV took over. You mean to say we as experts in 1990 couldn't even foresee what's going to happen within 2 years? Forget after 25 years. Even 2 years later, we didn't know what's going to happen. These are all realities. Huh? And this is brilliant. In 1996, again, you can go back. They said mobile is only for the rich and should not be encouraged. We must first take landline to everybody in the country must have landline, even if it takes for the next 25, 30 years. Give everybody a landline. Then we will talk about mobiles. But those of you remember, the first calls, incoming call was 16 rupees 80 paisa, outgoing call was 16 rupees 80 paisa. And we, as Indians, Jugaad, we knew how to beat the system. We will never speak, but send messages. But never mind, that's a different story. Imagine if the government had listened to these people. Where would we be today? And this is 96, just 20 years, 25 years back. 2001, and this is another one. Y2K was over, right? In Y2K, they said the planes will fall down from the sky and crash and everybody will die. All that got over. And then they said after the software industry will also die because the software industry existed only for Y2K. 2 years back, one guy told me, one foreigner, you Indians are, the biggest scam that you people created was the Y2K. I said, I don't think we are capable of creating such big scams. But if we have done it, I would like to be proud that I'm an Indian who's done this scam because it's our largest business today. And last, but since we are from Chennai. And I was involved in this. If you have been listening to that resume of mine, then you will know. If you've not been listening, it does not matter, I'll tell you. I was involved in that Mahindra World City, which is near Chengalpet, basically for manufacturing. And they told me at that time, no manufacturing industry will ever come to India. You're a stupid fellow. And even by mistake, if they come to India, nothing will ever come to Chennai. 1998. Ford had just tried coming in. There were no other industries in that area. There was no Sriparambudur, Oragadam, nothing. I used to tell them, I know, but this is the Mahindra group. If I lose my job here, they're a big group. They make tractors, they make so many other things. I'm hoping they'll give me a job somewhere else. But they said, you spoiled your career, you're finished. Again, this statement was made by presidents and vice presidents of very top companies who came to Chennai to visit this site because I was in charge of marketing. I'm giving you some examples, there are many more, where people very old in their fields have gone completely wrong. Now, I'm not saying, therefore, that is why I'm being very careful when I say something. I'm not an astrologer, I don't know. So, I will stop with this because beyond this, I can't go. I have to now come back, show my face. And I want to say that my presentation is over and whatever I wanted to share with you is over. I've broken it up, as I said, into 3 parts. And I tried giving you something to think about. And quite honestly, if even a few of you will discuss and debate some things what I've said, whether you agree or disagree with me, I don't care. Will make you think the fellow's an absolute idiot or he had something to say, I would be very happy. I'm leaving that thought with you, and that's all I came in. We've got about 5-7 minutes left, so I would be very, very happy if I can get some questions. I'm not seeing anything right now. There are 2-3 people who said I'm saying something nice. I thank you for that. So I'll give you again the proverbial 30 seconds. But I don't think I'm. Oh, financial stimulus. Somebody's pending new people coming in. Financial stimulus, I would compare. Let's not compare. The US and Germany are completely different countries from us. Completely different country. So their kind of stimulus doesn't work for us. If you ask me personally, Tamil Nadu's biggest issue will be to get the migrants back here. That'll help the migrants. That'll help Chennai's industry. So we need to get rid of this problem fast and move on in life. But their kind of stimulus and our kind of stimulus are very different. So let's not copy something which somebody has done because our needs are different. Well, if there are no more questions, Pravin, I'm not saying anything. I'll for another minute, I'll keep it open. But if there are no more questions, then maybe we need to wind up this session. So I will wait 1 minute before I do that. I know getting close to your lunchtime also. So,
Participants, do you have questions?
no, somebody has said this, one or two compliments. Let me thank them for that. I can't thank them individually. Uh, Again, I'm making my point. My mail is available. You will get it from MMA. So any one and off questions, anything you want to chat, my number and mail, nothing is a secret. So please feel free to make use of it. Anything specific, and I'm a very, you've seen me, I'm quite brutal and honest. If I know something, I will tell you. If I don't know something, I will tell you that I don't. Okay, our 1 minute is up. So, Pravin, you as a coordinator, and I would like to thank all of you who have still remained here. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope you have listened because I'm aware. And I wish you all the best. And I hope there is sometime a physical session that we are able to all meet together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for a valuable lecture.
Thank you, Pravin. Can I log off?
Ah, yes, sure, sir. We'll finish this session by having a word of thanks by Vijay.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you, Ravi. Good day to all. So, no duty is more urgent than that of returning thanks. So, Honorable Speaker, respected staffs, and all the participants, it's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. So, I, on behalf of School of Management, DG Vaishnav College, extended a very heartful vote of thanks to the delegate of this session, Mr. Murari S. Jagan, business consultant and advisor, for sharing his knowledge and spending a lot of time with us in spite of his busy schedule. And I would like to extend my special thanks to our director, Madam Dr. U. Amleshwari, for her constant support and encouraging us. I also like to express my gratitude to our staff members and volunteers who worked hard for this session and make it as a grand success. And last but not least, I congratulate all the participants who actively participated in this webinar. And thank you once again. Like finally, I request everyone to be stay safe at home during this quarantine. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks to all participants. The participants can